We are back on Morning Line. Final segment with Clifton Harris with us, CEO of the Urban League here in Middle Tennessee. State of Black America report just came out from the national office. We kind of went over some of those details, but talking to Clifton, and we've touched on a lot of bases, and I just wanted to ask him, where should we emphasize in our final segment that maybe we haven't touched on? And you talked about reclaiming the vote.
Yeah, reclaiming the vote, to reclaim your voice, reclaim your power, and for our democracy. We're seeking to make sure that we register more people who are not registered to vote, educate more voters on their rights, and motivate more voters to get out to the polls and to protect our democracy, because there is an all-out assault on our democracy through various gerrymandering and intimidation tactics and closing polls early and moving polls around, all in an effort to keep people from voting and to keep certain people in power. So we have to make sure that we're just as diligent as our forefathers were with the sit-ins, and to get out and register to vote and go to the polls and vote.
And maybe you can just characterize for some of our viewers, we hear voter suppression and intimidation. Give me an example of what we think maybe is going to be in place for these upcoming elections as individuals go out to vote. What will be intimidating? How do you feel it manifests itself?
Like, closing the polls early.
Okay.
Right? Or moving the polls. You're supposed to be voting over here. No, this is my...
So you show up where you used to go, and they say, oh, no, that's changed.
That's changed, right. And purging voting rolls, right? So we have to be mindful of all those things. Those are the tactics. I mean, what is it giving someone a bottle of water or a banana who's standing in line, for hours to vote? What is that going to hurt? How's that going to impact, people? I don't get those intimidation tactics.
Yeah, meaning because if you take that away, someone, especially maybe an elderly person, can't stand in line and they say it's not worth it, I'm not going to do it.
You don't want people to be dehydrated, standing out in the sun, and people may have diabetes and need to keep their energy up. So yeah, those are tactics, intimidation tactics, Nick, that I think we have to be mindful for and watch out for to protect our people so that they can get out and vote.
And so registering the vote, getting it out there. So what are you guys, is the Urban League able to kind of get these voter drives up and running?
Yeah, so we get the voter drives up and going. Keep in mind, we are nonpartisan, but we encourage people to vote, and we educate people on where their voting polls are and what they need when they go to the polls to vote.
What is your sense? Is the voter turnout going to, be where you want it? It's probably not where you want it, but is it stepping back? Are people getting frustrated and this voter suppression working? Or do you think, to me, in that position, it would piss me off. And I'd be like, what? Go ahead and try. You can't stop me. I'll do whatever I got to do. Of course, I've got a means to get around, and some people maybe can't go to a precinct that they've suddenly moved on them that's several miles away. So I understand that.
Yeah. So I think we have to be diligent about our playbook and making sure that we are registering people to vote, and that we're encouraging people to vote, and that we're making sure that people know how to vote. Right. When they go to the polls, get a ballot, sample ballot earlier, and know who you're going to vote for, know what the issues are, know what the individuals that you're voting for stand for. Don't be a blind voter, just because of name recognition or gender, for that matter. Educate yourself on the issues, educate yourself on what people stand for, and cast your vote, and watch your power of the vote go to work.
So you said that the local Urban League is going to put a report together, kind of to mirror whatever was done at the federal level that came out last week.
Yes, so I'm working on
what do you guys
working
do?
on that.
Where do you go to get the data? When we talk about percentages.
We go to census. We use census data. We use economic data. Locally, we use Federal Reserve data. We go to multiple sources in order to get our data. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, and you think it'll reflect what we've already heard, probably,
I think
for
it
the
will,
most part?
for the most part, reflect everything that we've already heard and seen, and but it will have its nuances in certain areas. We'll be able to use that data to talk about housing here locally, how it impact and what the real income gaps are here locally. Right now, this is kind of like a national average.
And when you were saying about housing, we talked during the break a little bit about homelessness. And as it gets too expensive for so many people to live here, they're going to be losing their places to live here.
Especially single mothers.
Right. So what do you guys look at for housing? I mean, that's a big issue right now. Where do the homeless go? They're passing laws restricting where the homeless, as you know,
in public
can
places,
set
right?
up tents and the like. And I understand some of that has to be regulated, but other parts of it, especially if it's attached to protest, has a lot of controversy with it. But what about that?
Well, addressing homelessness is simply about mental health, workforce, and housing.
Okay.
Right. And we have to produce more housing, clear and simple.
Yeah, but how in this city? I mean, I talk to the vice mayor all the time and others. It's just you've got everything being bought up by outside investment banking firms to,
So one of the things that we have done, we have launched a new program called our Real Estate Developers Academy, where we are teaching 13 people of color who own companies how to be successful real estate developers. Over the next 18 months, they will get a master level class and deep dive in business law, real estate, construction, and finance. And as a result of that, they will get access to the Amazon Housing Equity Fund, which is a $2 billion pool of capital to help them capitalize their projects. We have a set aside of $121 million that will help them capitalize their projects. And then we have a set aside grant to help with any pre-development costs to help drive down the costs, because housing is about profitability and income. And so as a result, we are able to target individuals who are 30 to 80% of area median income on rental housing and 120% on single family housing. So our goal is to be a part of an initiative that produces over 20,000 units of affordable housing over the next 5 years.
Awesome.
In 3 major cities: Nashville, Seattle, and DC area.
Oh, those 3.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I wish you well on it.
Thank you.
That's in the next 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's ambitious. Let's go to Ernestine. Ernestine, good morning. Hi, Ernestine.
Hi. I want to ask, I have a comment.
Sure.
I want to ask about the comment that one of the senators made about the homeless. I think his name is Senator Frank Nicely. He said that the homeless ought to be inspired by Adolf Hitler. And I think he should be educated on that subject. I think that he was very unintelligent and ignorant, because you don't want someone to admire a dictator and a killer.
Yeah. It was an absurd statement. You're right. I mean, that's kind of off topic, but maybe if you want to comment, she observed it. We're just talking about homelessness. Are you aware of the comment she's referring to?
I'm not aware of the comment, but just hearing it, I would agree with her. That senator needs to educate himself.
Yeah. It was pretty much what she just said. Is
Right.
making the comparison that being homeless doesn't mean you can't succeed. Look at Adolf Hitler. He was homeless at one time, and what he did. All right, come on, absurd. I mean, it's a stupid comment.
Yeah.
And he had some reaction to it. He may not have meant it in that way, whatever, but that's sometimes you wonder, and that's an example of it with our lawmakers, just if they're completely out of touch. And on things like that, on things like homelessness, on things about race issues, I just wonder. And maybe their constituents, they just focus on just that, and maybe their constituents don't care.
Words matter.
But words matter, and you just wonder, are they engaged? Do they understand where that all goes? All right, so as we wrap things up, just from this perspective, from last year to this year in the report that you've seen, even the National Urban League president, Mark, is it Morial?
Morial.
You know, basically just said, the numbers change so little and so slowly.
Right.
It's incremental, either slowly up or, frankly, some down. What do you think? I mean, it's pretty much been the trend over the last several years.
It has been the trend
slow.
over the
Slow.
last.
No massive change.
It's slow, and it's frustrating, but the work continues.
How long have you been with the Urban League?
I've been with the Urban League now 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And in that time, though, that's pretty much what you've observed.
That's pretty much what I've observed. But Nick, I will say this: the impact that we have had for the people that we do serve has made all the world of difference in their lives.
Yes, and when you say how many you serve, does the Urban League actually have members? I mean, that you would count, or just I know that you go out into the community. How do you
collectively?
Quantify that?
And there are 90 affiliates throughout the United States, and collectively we serve over 3 million people annually.
Right. And it makes a big difference.
And it makes a big difference.
Basically, education, as you just talked about, doing the voter drives.
Education through civic engagement, social justice issues, housing, economic development, jobs, making sure that we're getting people into jobs, getting people trained up and reskilled, to access jobs, access to health care, and then making sure on the education front, that our youth have pathways, to education, to work, to military, and to life.
Yeah, education, work, and a job, all that's hope.
Right.
Maybe someday getting a house, something like that. It's just the American dream, and everyone should have access to it.
Yep.
That's what the Urban League works toward for everyone. Listen, Clifton, it's always a pleasure. Thanks
Always
for coming
a pleasure.
on.
Thank you.
It's a chatty
Appreciate
hour, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Some good calls.
It was.
We will see you again, my friend. Maybe when the local Urban League report comes out. If you'd like to come back on, we'd love to have you on, all right? It's good to see you.
I'll be sure to do that.
It's always a pleasure. Take a break. I'll be back with the programming note right after this. Stay with us. Thank you, sir.